The Philadelphia defense is about to unleash an absolute nightmare on the rest of the National Football League. And the craziest part is that nobody is paying attention to the one man holding the remote control. While everyone else has been losing their minds over flashy new free agents and explosive rookies, a massive bombshell just dropped from inside the locker room that changes everything we thought we knew about the upcoming football season. This isn't just a minor adjustment to a defensive scheme. This is a total philosophical shift that could make an already dominant top 5 unit completely unblockable. If you think you know how this defensive system operates, you are completely wrong, because what is being cooked up behind closed doors right now is designed to break the modern NFL offense entirely. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. Are we truly ready to witness a historic defensive shutdown, or is the pressure of championship expectations going to cause this entire thing to explode? To understand the sheer scale of what is happening, you have to look at the guy who anchors the entire middle of the field. When the media gathered around the veteran linebacker during minicamp, nobody expected him to reveal the master plan. But he dropped a terrifying message that should send chills straight down the spine of every single offensive coordinator on the schedule. He straight up confirmed that the defensive coordinator is taking things to a level we have never seen before. For the past 2 seasons, players were just trying to learn the basic rules of this incredibly complex system. They were learning the language, finding the footing, and playing within the bounds. But now,
it really
the training
dictates
wheels
the
are
defense.
completely off. The mastermind calling the plays finally knows exactly what his veteran leaders are capable of, and he is rewriting his own playbook on the fly to match their exact strengths. This means the defense is no longer just running a system. They are hunting. They are developing, tweaking, and changing the look on every single snap based on who is on the field. It is a level of psychological warfare that turns a standard football game into a chess match, where the defense always has the upper hand. But wait until you hear how this terrifying upgrade is going to turn a top 5 defensive unit into a historical powerhouse. To truly appreciate why this is a massive problem for the rest of the league, you have to look at what this group accomplished last year. This wasn't some struggling unit that needed to be saved. In the previous season, they were already the number 5 overall defense in the entire NFL. They ranked comfortably in the top 10 against the pass, top 10 against the run, and top 10 in points allowed per game. Remember that brutal 5-game stretch to close out the year. The absolute maximum number of points they surrendered was 22, and that was in a grueling overtime battle against Los Angeles, where the offense kept giving the ball away. The defense was single-handedly dragging the team across the finish line week after week. Now, take that exact same elite foundation and add absolute superstars to the mix. On the outside, a premier lockdown cornerback steps into the lineup to replace the departing veterans, bringing elite length and track star speed to erase opposing wide receivers. On the defensive line, an absolute wrecking ball of a pass rusher arrives to collapse the pocket from the edge. When you pair those elite new weapons with a legendary coordinator who is suddenly opening up the deep pages of his playbook, a top 5 finish feels like the absolute floor. We're looking at a locked-in, undeniable top 3 defensive unit. And the anchor of it all is a linebacker who continues to be criminally underrated by the national media. After putting together an unbelievable all-pro campaign 2 years ago, he remained a top 5 linebacker by every single measurable metric last season, even if the casual fans didn't notice. Now, he is openly admitting that his understanding of the system has grown exponentially. He isn't just executing his own assignments anymore. He is directing traffic, identifying the weaknesses of the opposing offense before the ball is even snapped, and screaming out adjustments to the safety room and the defensive line. He has become the undisputed captain and the emotional anchor of this roster. If he takes even a tiny step forward, the rest of the league is in serious trouble. But as dominant as this starting lineup looks on paper, a sudden shakeup in the secondary is about to force a highly touted young hybrid player into a brand new role that nobody saw coming. The defensive coaching staff is officially moving the chess pieces around, and the newest experiment involves putting one of the most versatile young defensive backs in the league into the deep center field spot. During the first few weeks of off-season workouts and minicamp, it was confirmed that the former first-round talent is taking a massive number of reps at safety in the base defensive packages. It is a massive adjustment from playing on the boundary as a traditional cornerback, and the young star openly admitted that the rules of the position are completely different. At safety, you aren't just locking down one man. You have to play with incredible vision, communicate constantly, and work in perfect harmony with your teammate on the other side of the field. Who's to blame for this loss? Drop a name below. But while it is a massive mental challenge, it is a move that could unlock the ultimate defensive cheat code. Last year, this young playmaker was a violent, downhill force against the run whenever he slid into the slot or played near the line of scrimmage. By moving him back to a permanent safety spot in base looks, the coaching staff is giving him the perfect vantage point to read the quarterback's eyes and explode down into the box to blow up running plays before they even start. He is working his tail off, grinding through the film, and trying to follow up an incredibly promising season with something even better. The locker room is already buzzing about his work ethic, and his teammates are expecting a massive breakout year. Yet, just as the defense seems to be locking in their future, an explosive trade rumor involving a foundational piece of the defensive line threatened to tear the whole project apart. Out of nowhere, the national media exploded with headlines claiming that a massive blockbuster trade package was being prepared for the team's young superstar defensive tackle. Rumors started swirling that a powerhouse rival in the Western Conference was willing to sell the farm, offering 2 future first-round draft picks and a third-round pick just to pry the elite interior pass rusher away. On the surface, a haul like that sounds like an absolute king's ransom that any front office would have to consider. But when you look past the sensationalized headlines, the entire rumor falls apart into pure fiction. There was no actual insider reporting behind the trade package. It was nothing more than a media outlet playing hypothetical general manager during the slowest part of the NFL offseason. The narrative was built on the assumption that the team wouldn't be able to afford a massive contract extension for their young star, which couldn't be further from the truth. Even if things ever did get rocky in contract negotiations, the brilliant front office would never, under any circumstances, trade a generational talent to a direct rival within the same conference. If a trade ever happened, he would be shipped out to the opposite conference to ensure he never stands in the way of championship run. But the main reason this rumor is completely dead in the water is that the organization has already made it their absolute #1 priority to lock him down for the long haul. Team insiders have confirmed that the front office is fully prepared to make him one of the highest-paid defensive players in football. They recognize that he is a dynamic, game-changing force that you simply do not let walk out the door. The organization wants to ensure everything is aligned correctly both on and off the field, but make no mistake, a massive contract extension is being worked on behind the scenes right now. The expectation is that a deal could get finalized before training camp even begins, keeping the core of this terrifying defense intact for years to come. But while the current roster is locked in and focused on a championship, a toxic wave of bitter complaints from former players just threatened to disrupt the entire locker room atmosphere. The past few days turned into an absolute circus as 3 disgruntled former players decided to use their media platforms to take incredibly petty shots at the organization. It started with a high-priced edge rusher who signed a massive $51 million contract, did absolutely nothing on the field, and is now trying to blame everyone else for his own failures. He went on a podcast and openly complained about the defensive coordinator, claiming the coaching staff publicly stated they didn't think he could stop the run before the pads even came on in training camp. He whined about a lack of communication between the interior and exterior pass rushers, trying to paint a picture of a broken, toxic system. It is honestly hilarious listening to a guy try to save face after failing to live up to a massive contract. The reality is that he simply could not stop the run. His pass rush production plummeted, and he was so ineffective that the coaching staff couldn't even justify putting him on the field during the biggest games of the year. He eventually got shipped off to another team, only to retire a year later because his skills had completely eroded. But he wasn't the only former player letting his bitterness show. A vocal former defensive back who seemingly cannot stop obsessed over his former team decided to take a completely unprovoked swipe at the team's star running back over the weekend. He released a statement telling the star back that he hopes he is happy now that the band is breaking up, referencing the departure of top-tier offensive talent. The comment makes absolutely no sense, especially considering the front office has actively upgraded the roster to replace any missing pieces. The truth is that this defensive back was a massive, constant headache inside the locker room, and his behavior since leaving the team proves exactly why the front office wanted nothing to do with him long-term. After being traded away, he was quickly cut by his next team, ignored by the following organization, and is now bouncing around the league trying to find a permanent home. The fans might remember his contributions during a previous championship run, but the organization realized very quickly that his talent wasn't worth the massive cultural headache he created. To top it all off, a third former player, a veteran offensive lineman, decided to join the drama by publicly supporting the negative social media posts against the team. It's clear that his actions stem from pure frustration because the front office showed absolutely zero interest in re-signing him this offseason. This actually sparked a massive debate among the fan base, with some people arguing that the team needs to bring him back for veteran depth on the interior offensive line. But the reality is that the rest of the league doesn't seem to want him either, which tells you everything you need to know about his current value. The organization spent a massive amount of draft capital over the past 2 seasons specifically to inject young, elite talent into the offensive line room. It makes infinitely more sense to hand the keys over to a hungry, developmental young player than to bring back a disgruntled veteran who is coming off a statistically horrific season in the AFC. The front office looked at the situation, realized they got one good year out of him, and decided it was time to move on to a younger, cheaper, and more explosive option. With all the off-season drama and media noise fading into the background, the focus shifts entirely to the upcoming season, and fans are about to get their first look at this historic squad in person. Single-game tickets are officially locked and loaded to go on sale, giving the die-hard faithful their first opportunity to secure their seats for what promises to be an unforgettable ride. At the exact same time, the box office is opening up public access for the highly anticipated open practice under the stadium lights in late August. For a cheap $15 admission, fans can pack the stadium, watch their favorite players grind through intense training camp sessions, and catch a first-hand glimpse of the terrifying new defensive scheme being unleashed. It is easily the best value in professional sports, giving the community a chance to connect with the team before the year. The summer schedule is starting to wind down, and the intensity is about to reach a boiling point. The front office has built a masterpiece. The players are executing with ruthless precision, and the coaching staff is holding a playbook that will terrify the rest of the league. The foundation is set, the individual pieces are locked in, and this defense is officially primed to put the entire NFL on absolute notice.